Quiet river, happy river, achieving peace by allowing natural flow. In the land of murmurs, Rippletide was a lively river known for its constant babbling. It gurgled, splashed, and sang little songs to anyone who would listen. All the animals loved Rippletide's chatter. Frogs croaked along, birds whistled in reply, and even the pebbles seemed to hum when the river rushed over them. One summer, though, the land of murmurs faced a terrible drought. Rain stopped falling, and Rippletide's water began to thin. The river's babbling voice faded into a weak trickle, and Rippletide became worried. "Oh no!" Rippletide murmured, its voice barely a whisper. "If I get any quieter, no one will hear me at all." Desperate, Rippletide tried to push its little bit of water as hard as it could, splashing against rocks, but it only seemed to shrink and thin even more. Just then, an ancient willow tree by the river's edge spoke up in a gentle voice. "Rippletide, my friend, why don't you rest and flow gently? As the Tao Te Ching says, when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Sometimes being quiet can be even more powerful." "But if I'm quiet, how will the animals find me?" Rippletide asked in a worried trickle. "Just try it," the willow advised. "Let yourself flow softly and see what happens." Feeling unsure but trusting the wise old willow, Rippletide let out a sigh and softened its flow. It stopped splashing and chattering, allowing itself to simply drift, calmly winding along its riverbed. Soon, wonderful things began to happen. With Rippletide's quiet flow, animals felt drawn to its banks in droves. Deer came to drink from its cool, gentle waters. Birds perched along its edge to dip their beaks. Frogs gathered to sing soft lullabies, and flowers began to bloom, bright and colorful along its banks. The whole riverside became a place of peaceful harmony. Rippletide noticed the magic around it and murmured happily, "I didn't realize being quiet could make everyone feel so calm and happy." The willow smiled knowingly. "You see, dear Rippletide, sometimes we make the biggest impact when we stop pushing and just flow naturally." From that day on, Rippletide learned to flow peacefully, knowing that even its gentle, quiet waters could create beauty and harmony all around. Subscribe Little Whis now. Spark big wisdom in little minds.